So the way that I teach these types of events is I say the probability of passing the written is 9 out of 10. The road test was 5 out of 6. So because of the information that you're giving, it's actually changing the real world concept behind the driving test. But to use that information to solve it anyway, because there's an overlap to them, they're not disconnected. So that's this both piece in the middle. The way I tell my students to always solve this is to start with what they have in common. So we're told that 4/5 or 80% is what they have in common. So I know that this entire circle here, the W circle, the probability of passing the written on the first time is 90%. And then the road test is 83.3% or 5/6. So this middle piece where both of them are 4 out of 5. Now again, it's not drawn to scale, it's just showing that this middle piece is the 80%. To figure out what the remaining piece of that circle W would be, I would take the whole circle minus both. So 4/5 would become 8/10. And I would say that this piece then is 1/10. So that would represent the probability that you pass the written test, but not the road test, because that's the disconnected portion of the overlap. To then figure out what's the probability of passing the road test and not the written test, although realistically that makes no sense, I know the entire circle needs to be 5 out of 6. So I'd subtract the piece that's in common, 4/5, and I'd have to say, well, I'd have to turn these into like-minded denominators, so this would be 25 over 30 minus 24 out of 30, and I would get 1 out of 30. So again, the answer to the question is they're not disconnected. I mean, there's a ton of overlap there in the center, which is 80%. 10% on the left, about 3.3%. So if I were to add all of this, the probability of getting W or R would be 1/10 plus 4/5 plus 1/30. All of which would have a common denominator of 30. And if you were to add that up, that would be 28 out of 30, or 14/15. But again, that's roughly about 93 to 94%. And that's the way that I would teach solving that.